Jurus Tunggal is an internationally recognized Pencak Silat form that consists of 100 moves divided into 14 sets or jurus and 3 sections. There's an empty hand section, one with golok or a machete, and one with a rattan staff or a toya. All 100 movements must be completed in exactly 3 minutes. Athletes are judged on the quality of movements and correctness of the moves. Points are deducted for incorrect techniques, improper attire, exceeding or being shy of 3 minutes, dropping the weapon, or if there's excessive yelling or shouting during the form, or going outside of the boundaries. As you know, Silat, or more formally, Pencak Silat, is a martial arts native to Southeast Asia, namely countries of Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, and Brunei. Silat began as early as the 5th century as a series of regulated and effective movements to be taught to families for self-defense. In some areas it was called Pencak, and other areas it was called Silat. Later, these self-defense movements were standardized into systems that could be taught to many people outside of the family. These systems were further formalized because they needed security at palaces for the kings and royalty. The sarong, or ikat dan kain samping, is a cultural dress that was worn formally by royalty, dignitaries, and palace security guards, many of whom were Silat masters. The sarong was also worn by Malay warriors and freedom fighters. It's now the formal attire for Pencak Silat practitioners and is required for Jurus Tunggal. In 1796, the Dutch government gained control over Indonesia and made training and studying Pencak Silat illegal. Training was done in secret and at night, which developed the need for black uniforms. Later, in 1942, the Japanese occupied Indonesia, but allowed Pencak Silat to be practiced further and developed. On August 17, 1945, Indonesia proclaimed independence and began growing its own identity, which also meant uniting and formalizing hundreds of Pencak Silat systems that were present across the region. On May 18, 1948, IPSI, Ikatan Pencak Silat Indonesia, or the Union of all Pencak Silats in Indonesia, was formed, making it one of the oldest national martial arts organizations in the world. Later, in 1980, Persilat was formed, which is the International Pencak Silat Federation, which included Malaysia, Singapore, and Brunei. They began the difficult task of standardizing Pencak Silat techniques for use in competitions. Thus began the formation of Jurus Tunggal. The technical team consisted of experts from various schools of Pencak Silat. Persilat brought in masters from Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, and Brunei. The team studied hundreds of rules and movements from various Pencak Silat styles and tried to put them all together without losing the distinctive color and technique of each style. Jurus Tunggal, which means the single or solo jurus, was also referred to as Jurus Tunggal Baku, or the standardized solo jurus, and also as Jurus Wajib Tunggal, or the mandatory solo jurus. It took over 3 years to finalize and complete Jurus Tunggal. One of the most influential members of the team was Pak Rifai Sahib. Born in Jakarta, Pak Rifai studied Cimande Silat, in addition to a number of Betawi styles, mastering them all. An excellent performer, Pak Rifai worked extensively to promote and develop the artistic aspect of Silat across the world, including in Switzerland, Germany, Australia, and Yemen. Pak Rifai would take the moves from each of the masters and expertly weave them together in a fluid set of movements known today as Jurus Tunggal. He also included his own unique perspective as a Cimande expert into Jurus Tunggal. Pak Rifai passed away in 2014.
Many school of Silat here collective from the master collect and create the Tunggal.
The first competition that had a Jurus Tunggal category was at the Indonesian sports event, PON, in Surabaya in the year 2000. In 2001, Jurus Tunggal was competed for the first time internationally at the Southeast Asian Games in Malaysia. In 2010, the first American competed in Jurus Tunggal at the World Pencak Silat Championships in Jakarta, Indonesia. Although Jurus Tunggal is performed silently, without yelling or shouting during the form, it has become a tradition for Pencak Silat teams to cheer on their competitor while he or she is performing Jurus Tunggal, with the entire team yelling together at each strike. This brings excitement to the competition as well as making Jurus Tunggal even more interesting to watch. Jurus Tunggal is now taught and competed in Pencak Silat schools and tournaments around the world, including right here in the United States of America. By learning and mastering Jurus Tunggal, you are preserving the heritage of all Pencak Silat schools and masters that contributed to making Jurus Tunggal.